leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's Christian Coffins.
DarkDox, digest. DarkDox, digest. DarkDox, digest. DarkDox, digest.
Welcome to the April 30th, 2025, Wednesday edition of the DarkDox Digest with your host, Christian Coffins.
DarkDox, digest. DarkDox,
digest.
Welcome back to DarkDox Digest. I am your host, Christian Coffins, and I believe it is time for us to go full AXIOMATIC! That word came up in the White House briefings on Monday, and I was like, "What? I know what an axiom is, but like, what does axiomatic mean?" And I was actually pretty pleased with my results on this search. Axiomatic, self-evident or unquestionable. Shouldn't we all strive to be axiomatic? Being our true selves. There's like no denying it. Like, oh yeah, that's definitely, it's bold, it's steadfast, and I like it. When you look at Merriam-Webster, it's taken for granted or self-evident, which adds another layer to it because I feel like we take a lot of things for granted. We really overlook or just don't really appreciate the gravity of mundane things because, so it's automatic. So it's axiomatic. Based on or involving an axiom or system of axioms, axiomatic set theory, a statement accepted as a true as the basis for argument or interference. Yeah, so it's a good word, axiomatic. If you're watching this, and you're probably well aware that we do this Mondays and Wednesdays at youtube.com/Sacred Owl, so please take a moment and subscribe, create a post, and get more people in the chat. You can just simply click share and then create a post and go now and hit enter. And then if you're on Facebook, I'm Christian X Coffins. We have a DarkDox network on Facebook. If you're on X, I am Sacred Owls Unite. And if you're on Rumble, we are DarkDox. And if you're on BitChute, we are DarkDox. At whitehouse.gov, all kinds of stuff has been happening. I mean, this is the most active administration I have seen in my lifetime. In primetime interview, President Trump highlights America's comeback. We're going to get to that in a second, so I'll skip that. The White House Council on Environmental Quality establishes Permitting Innovation Center. President Trump's largest tax cut in history. New data reveals strong economic momentum. Celebrating President Trump's incredible first 100 days. And 100 Days of Hoaxes, cutting through the fake news. I think I'll cover that one. And 100 Days of Investment. $5 trillion in new investment fuels America's future. We're not an economic show. We cover corruption and despicable things that are not axiomatic. So I'm skipping over a couple of these. A running list of new U.S. investment in President Trump's second term. You get the idea. It goes on. 100 Days of Hoaxes, cutting through the fake news. Since President Donald Trump took office 100 days ago, it has been a nonstop deluge of hoaxes and lies from Democrats and their allies in the fake news suffering from terminal cases of Trump derangement syndrome in no particular order. Here are some of the most egregious hoaxes peddled by the usual suspects so far in President Trump's second term. Fake news CNN attempted to fact-check President Trump's claim that Biden administration spent millions on making mice transgender. That was a good one. After their so-called fact-check was thoroughly debunked, they were forced to update it in disgrace and admit the claim was in fact true. All of these hyperlinked items are the links. The fake news claims the Department of Defense renamed General Colin Powell from a list of notable Americans buried at Arlington Cemetery. No service members' names were removed from that section, and Powell's name remained among those lists. Who came up with stuff like that? I mean, it's so petty. Eric Swalwell claimed no president over more plane crashes during the first month of the Trump administration. There were 55 aviation accidents in the U.S. between Biden's inauguration and January 21st, 2021 and February 17th, 2021, compared to 35 during the same period for Trump, Fox reported. It goes on. I mean, I would be here all day. It would be the entire episode, but I just wanted to highlight some of those. You can read it at whitehouse.gov, at doge.gov. We got a video for a change.
The business of the Navy continues even when I'm overseas visiting our Marines in Okinawa. Today I'm signing an order canceling the implementation of an obsolete and redundant online portal the Navy no longer needs. Canceling this contract will save $300 million so we can spend more on our sailors and Marines and our readiness. Since working with DOGE, the Department of the Navy has saved an estimated $587 million. Thanks.
There you have it. Contract update from yesterday. Since we're doing Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll cover yesterday too. In the last 2 days, agencies terminated 179 wasteful contracts with a ceiling value of $1.87 billion and savings of $280 million, including 1.8 million U.S. trade and development contracts for energy and climate advisory services, a $207,000 HHS consulting contract for a grant, and it goes on. So there's no transparency. This is a big deal. Over at x.com/real Alex Jones posted this morning, Texas federal judge to hold a hearing May 9th to review evidence of the Democratic Party colluding with the Justice Department with the publicly admitted goal to silence and destroy Alex Jones and InfoWars. This lawfare is extensively documented in the filing below, constitutes the most vicious case of an open conspiracy to abuse an American citizen's constitutional rights via abuse of process. You can download it. I'm actually going to do that now since I haven't already. From their Google Drive. There you have it. But I'll read a little bit of this. But first, I'm a little parched. Doge, you can... I didn't realize you were still here. Get back there. He's such a good boy. Like, whenever I call him, he stays until I tell him to leave. But I'm going to be drinking some of this Ultra Methylene Blue because I got to tell you, I need some electricity. If you look at... Roseanne Barr's ex, her profile picture is like her doing the Palpatine from the show. It's dynamite. All right. In the United States Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Texas Houston Division, motion to reconsider for this court determination that no auction or free speech system asset will be conducted by the Jones Chapter 7 estates. Estates? Is that a typo? That might be a typo. Estrates? Am I crazy? This motion seeks an order that may adversely affect you. If you oppose the motion, you should immediately contact the moving party to resolve the dispute. If you and the moving party cannot agree, you must file a response or send a copy to the moving party. You must file and serve your response within 21 days of this date. This was served to you. You must respond, state why the motion should not be granted. If you do not, okay. So this seems boilerplate. That's all they show there. So I'm going to reopen the drive. Can I do that? No? Back? Yep, cool. How long is this thing? 34 pages. Okay. So here's a preliminary statement. Jones has the statutory and common law authority to represent Free Speech Systems, LLC, as manager in the common interests of preservation of values of the FSS asset, including preservation of the ongoing appellate proceedings, defense in the pending dischargeably proceedings and matters for this court, including this motion seeking reconsideration of the order of this court bench, order February 5th, 2025, to the extent that this court has exercised jurisdiction to enter, then void. Let's get to the meat. Okay. Okay. So a lot of it's like kind of preambling the whole ordeal. I'm going to have to do some research on this because I don't want to bore you. But I'll come back Monday with a report on that. Bound report, the open coup ignored by normalization.
And you know what? They ought to find out who was using that auto pen. Because whoever that person was, he or she, was like the president of the United States.
Trump saying we need to arrest, and you know he's directing that investigation, and it's cut and dry. The people, the committee, the oligarchs, the plutocrats, the bureaucrats that are allied with much of the corrupt judiciary, trying to continue on their bureaucratic, judicial, police state, and unelected coup.
We are here today because the rule of law and democracy in the United States is under attack, not by a foreign adversary or some distant threat. The rule of law is being attacked and subverted from within, from an administration intoxicated by its own power and enabled by a supine Congress.
Trump is saying these oligarchs, these plutocrats, need to be arrested, and they really do. A dictatorship is one person through an authoritarian, totalitarian system, but a plutocracy is a board or committee, council that is dictatorial and tyrannical and forms a dictatorship, but not of an individual, of a group. And that's what the deep state is.
Just as the president has crashed the stock market with his illegal tariffs, he has crashed the justice system with his dreadful appointments and vindictive policies. He's filled the leadership of the Department of Justice with his personal lawyers, unapologetically extremist sycophants like Kash Patel and Ed Martin, who elevate their devotion to Trump over any semblance of fidelity to the Constitution, the rule of law, and the rules of professional responsibility.
He used this like it was a fake Oval Office, weirdly, oddly. He was missing in action. He called lids at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. For those who don't know, a lid is when we tell the press to go home for the night. And he was doing that midday. That is not acceptable around here. I will tell you, we're working very early through the very late hours of the night. And the president's willing to talk to anyone.
And they say that 99+% of all of the bills and orders and all of it were signed by AutoPen. They found 2 signatures that are his, that are different. All the others are AutoPen. And then they checked, most of the time he was out of DC, wasn't even around, and they admit didn't even read it. People are kind of punch drunk over the tyranny. It's just kind of, okay, we know it's there, but yeah, we know they censor patriots that come after talk show hosts, that come after Trump, and yeah, they tried to kill him, and yeah, they're child molesters, and yeah, the borders, you know, but it's kind of like, well, all right, that's just what they do. So even though we're waking up, even though we're having some victories, there's still too much of a normalization about, well, that's just what, you know, the bureaucrats do. They just plot to overthrow the president.
Yeah, so that's a whole 7-minute video, and watch the Bound reports, like, in their entirety. I can't be covering, like, it'd take up my whole show to play their videos, but, like, I like to cover a lot of it because it's jam-packed with so many things, and, like, it has the video clip, it cites the source. They're fantastic. But, yeah, this is a big problem. You know, we have been, you know, just slowly attacked from all sides, and all of your civil liberties, all of your morals, all of what you believe in, what you think is good, has been attacked by these parasites. They're human beings, or are they? But they, you know, they latch on to anything that they can steal from you, essentially. Whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure, like, they will, they want it, and they want you to have no peace. They've said it out loud. And here's another example of it. RFK Jr. names the government agency behind America's geoengineering nightmare. For years, chemtrails have been sold to us as a conspiracy theory. Now RFK Jr. isn't just confirming the crimes are happening, but he's exposing exactly who's behind them. Like a government employee should have been doing this whole time, but it goes to show how corrupt this entire government has been up until this point. What's up, Holistic Empire and Mindo Brendo? But yeah, so check this out. Oh, what is this? We are going. Oh, okay, man. I thought I could click play on that, but I could not. But yeah, RFK Jr. has been on this for a minute, which is fantastic. Fast forward today, Kennedy is doubling down to put a stop to geoengineering. For just a few days ago, after a British government announced a new geoengineering effort to combat climate change, he responded with an even stronger statement. We are going to stop this crime. It's good. Good stuff. Court documents, and like, we also, you know, we need to arrest these people, but we also need to seize all of their assets. They have to sell their houses. I mean, you know, just everything. Like, and that money needs to go back to the taxpayers that never voted on any of this stuff, but we've been paying for it, you know, through government grants and all of that. Like, we need to be paid back trillions of dollars, not just for the money spent on the geoengineering projects, but also for reparations for who knows what the side effects. Did they destroy the world? Can we not grow certain things now? You know, are we going to die of cancer in 30 years because of this? So there needs to be studies done, and there needs to be tribunals. And with that being said, anyone behind geoengineering, I think you know what you're going to get. You're going to get the wood chipper. That's right. That's all of you guys. After we go through Nuremberg 2.0, you're going to fall in that little machine right there, and dog food with you. Court documents reveal ex-husband of MS-13 member's wife fears for his children's life. Warn about authorities. She's dating a gang member. This is, of course, this Abrego Garcia and Sura, who have a son who was born in 2019. Newly unearthed court documents reveal that the ex-husband of a quote-unquote U.S. citizen, now married to a deported illegal immigrant linked to a notorious MS-13 gang, warned in 2018 that his children's lives were at risk. Yep. We're going to get more to him in a second. I don't want to focus all day on this guy. Democrats' precious transnational gangs. Bound report.
The wheels on the Cloward Piven strategy bus are falling off.
A New Mexico judge resigned last month after Homeland Security arrested his tenant, who was accused of being a member of the Venezuelan transnational criminal gang Tren de Aragua. According to the criminal complaint, former Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano rented out his casita to Christian Ortega Lopez at the behest of his wife last year. They met Ortega Lopez when his wife hired him to do housework.
This judge's daughter is allowing this illegal alien to have access to firearms. It is a felony for this illegal alien to be in possession of firearms.
Homeland Security officials say Ortega Lopez displayed clear indicators of his association with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, or TDA. Not just his clothing or tattoos, but voicemails and text messages, they say, provide significant evidence for their case against him.
It's very concerning. It's concerning, what else has this judge been doing?
President Trump designated TDA, as well as other gangs like MS-13, foreign terrorist organizations in an executive order he signed on his first day in office.
We're going to multiply, and we're going to multiply in big numbers.
The MS-13 has a potential presence in just about every community in this country.
Over 6,000 members nationwide. It is one of the largest street gangs in the country with a presence in 46 states and in the District of Columbia.
Democratic lawmakers led by Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen are gleefully ignoring the will of the voters by traveling to El Salvador to advocate for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a deported Salvadoran national with documented MS-13 gang affiliation, while DHS reports from 2019 identify Garcia as an MS-13 Checo in the Westerns clique. Van Hollen was denied access to Garcia at El Salvador's Terrorism Confinement Center, while House Democrats pushed for a congressional delegation to investigate Garcia's March 2025 deportation, which they called an administrative error. Patty Marin, whose daughter was murdered by an illegal immigrant, condemned Democrats for prioritizing a potential gang member over American victims.
He uses my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to advocate for a criminal.
He told me how much he missed his wife and his kids. He specifically mentioned his 5-year-old boy who has autism because that boy had been in the car with him when U.S. agents had stopped them and handcuffed him and then taken him away.
To have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledged my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother. Why does that person have more right than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren? I don't understand this.
The Democrats have lost the script. These same people flying to El Salvador on the taxpayers' dime to free a citizen of another country with MS-13 gang ties while ignoring devastated, freezing Americans left out in the cold by Hurricane Helene and Biden's Congress in September of 2024, or the
Despicable. So yeah, that one's a whole 11 minutes and 29 seconds, so definitely check out the Democrats' precious transnational gangs at BANNED.VIDEO, which is still going to be on the air for a couple, while this holds is in place and they're reviewing everything. So, because it was going to be shut down tomorrow or the next day. Greg Abbott threatens state funding to San Marcos ahead of ceasefire resolution. They covered this on the American Journal this morning. In a post on X on Tuesday, April 29th, Governor Greg Abbott threatened to cut state grants to the city due to a ceasefire resolution for the ongoing conflict in occupied Palestine. Being placed on the May 6th City Council agenda. On April 15th, City Council agreed to put a resolution to a vote. The agenda item for the resolution was titled, "Hold a discussion regarding the possible resolution calling for the immediate and permanent ceasefire in occupied Palestine, an arms embargo on Israel, recognition of Palestinian sovereignty, and the protection of constitutional rights for a people under national and international law." In his post, Abbott condemned the resolution, calling it anti-Semitic and accusing it of violating state law. Attached to his post was a letter addressed to San Marco Mayor Jan Houston. Israel is a stalwart ally of the United States. Yeah, okay. And friend to Texas. I have repeatedly made clear that Texas will not tolerate anti-Semitism, anti-Israel policies, or anti-Texas policies. Abbott wrote in his letter, I have proudly signed the legislation prohibiting government entities from supporting efforts to boycott, divest, or sanction Israel. That remains the law here. So, what part of the First Amendment says anything about anti-Semitism? In fact, I recall the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights under the Constitution saying exactly the opposite of this, that no religious organization can be protected or prohibited, but nowhere does it say you can't attack, you can't like insult. I can say whatever I want about whatever religion, including my own. I have a right to do that. It's not given to me by the government. It's given to me by God. Who the fuck is Greg Abbott to tell me what to do? He has no right. It's absurd. I mean, it's classic Orwellian doublespeak, where out of one side of his mouth, in the same sentence, he's saying that this is against Texas, but at the same time, it's against Israel and it's anti-Semitic somehow. So where's the separation of church and state here? I'm confused. It's despicable. It's so blatant. It's so in your face. Link in description. And I actually pulled this up from the Council on Foreign Relations. So you can't say like, I'm getting this from a biased source. Like, this is the enemy. This is their number. U.S. aid to Israel in 4 charts. Israel has long been the leading recipient for U.S. foreign aid, including military assistance. That aid has come under heightened scrutiny amid Israel's conflict with Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. So here you can see how much U.S. aid does Israel receive. Israel has been the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign aid since founding, receiving about $310 billion adjusted for inflation in total economic military assistance. The United States has also provided large foreign aid packages to other Middle Eastern countries, particularly Egypt and Iraq, but Israel stands apart. Here you can see Israel is the largest, blah, 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 what I just said. Total fiscal years 1946 to 2024. So we give them $80 billion for economics and $228 billion for military assistance. I mean, guys, screenshot this and just make it a meme. Just be like, it's absurd. Why are we giving any of this money to any of these fucking countries and not helping our veterans and not, helping out? We could have free college. You could have free. You could have free anything, but no, we're spending it on war and giving all of that specifically to Israel. What have you done for me lately or ever? Egypt, $78 billion, $90 billion for military. Afghanistan, $53 billion in economic, $105 billion in military. South Vietnam, $49 billion. Ukraine, it goes on and on. Ukraine's funny. They're in the middle of the list, actually. We need to be focusing on Israel. But no, it's anti-Semitic. Are you a state or a religion? You can't be both. Israel, Netanyahu, are you a state or are you a religion? You can't be both. I mean, they make it so confusing with Jews. And also, like, you can be a cultural Jew, but not a religious Jew. You could be a practicing Jew, but not the Jewish bloodline, not Ashkenazi. Like, it's the whole thing's a joke. The United States has provided significant military aid to Israel since the 1970s. You can see 12 billion started out over here. Let's look at the military is the one that stands out. So in the 1970s, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. 3.2 billion, and then it spiked in 1975, where we gave them 12.4 billion. And then in 1979, 14 billion. And then it kind of slowed down. And now we're back at those highs at 12.5 billion. But we need a real explanation on why we are giving any of these people any money. Like, as taxpayers, we deserve to know why. How did this start? It needs to stop. Israel has been the top recipient of U.S. Army sales. Well, second, actually. Saudi Arabia, $164 billion. It's disgusting. Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre family reveals her defiant words in handwritten note found after her suicide. I hate these videos. Virginia Giuffre's family has shared her heartbreaking handwritten note she left behind before the suicide Friday with her final message of support for sexual abuse survivors. Who wrote this note? It wasn't her. No way. I want to see a handwriting analysis, but this note about this suicide says mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers need to show the battle lines are drawn, and we is crossed out, stand together to fight for the future of victims. Is protecting the answer? I don't know, but we get to share somewhere. I don't believe it. No way. Rest in power. Horrible. Woman charged in deadly stabbing of Kansas City paramedic previously bit police officer. So yeah, this chick bit a cop, and a Democrat judge let her out. And in the same day that she got out, she stabbed a paramedic in the heart and tried to steal an ambulance. Let's watch.
KSHB 41 News reporter Abby Dodge has also been helping us cover this story today. She spent the day digging into the suspect's history. Abby, a previous probable cause statement said Shanetta Basel should be considered a danger to the public. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Caitlin. 39-year-old Shanetta Basel was making her first appearance in court this afternoon. She is charged with first-degree murder. Cameras were not allowed in the courtroom this afternoon, but I was able to sit inside during those proceedings. Now, Basel did not have a whole lot to say. She appeared via video call, but didn't say much outside of acknowledging her charges and saying that she needs a public defender. I went through police records that claim Basel has shown aggression against first responders before. Just last week, police arrested and prosecutors charged Basel with second-degree assault after they say she bit a police officer who was trying to detain her. The officer said he witnessed Basel trying to get into his personal vehicle. In a probable cause statement related to this weekend's events, the paramedic riding alongside, Graham Hoffman, said he heard Hoffman yell for Basel to sit back down, then called out for help because she had a knife. Hoffman's partner was driving the ambulance, so he pulled over to help. First-degree murder is punishable by death in the state of Missouri. We reached out to the Clay County Prosecutor's Office to see if they're seeking the death penalty. We also wanted to know if any party has requested a mental health evaluation. A member of the prosecutor's office said they will not be commenting further on this case now that it's moving forward. Prosecutor Zachary Thompson did speak to the press when he announced charges.
Our office will use all legal, moral, and ethical tools at our disposal to ensure justice for Graham, his family, and our entire community.
I tried to speak to the only people inside the courtroom that were not members of the media. When I asked how Bossel was related to them and if they would like to speak with me, they repeatedly said no comment while they walked to the parking lot. Now, Bossel's next hearing is set for Monday, May 5th. That's just next Monday, and they're going to be discussing her bond. Caitlin.
Yeah, so it's pretty dumb. It's a dumb way to get a death penalty, but you know, it's America, so this one's for you. Imagine that's. It can always be in Italian. I like Italian. Robert, speaking of Italians, I did not plan that. Robert De Niro's son comes out as trans. Credits black women for inspiring his transition. Sure, Robert De Niro is very proud of his son. Sick dreads, though. 29-year-old son comes out as transgender woman. Aaron? Yeah, like if Air was Aaron. De Niro, who was formerly known as Aaron. Oh, I see what you did there. In the product of De Niro's relationship with his fashion designer, Tukey Smith. In an interview with Them magazine, Aaron's confirmed that he started hormone treatment last year as part of his transition. Got a video? Got some photos? Good style. Still a dude. Forgotten by bureaucracy, ignored by Kamala Harris, attacked by Biden's feds, California Muwikma Olone? Muwika Malone? I'm sorry, I'm butchering that. Tribe resorts to common sense Trump administration for recognition. 47 years ago, an injustice was committed. A Native American nation from the San Francisco Bay Area was left out of the list of federally recognized tribes maintained by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or BIA! There was no hearing, no act of Congress, or executive order. Well, if you're going to laugh, I'm going to laugh. It's contagious. So yeah, put them on that list. They're Indians and such. Indian identified male swimmer dominates women's event. This is the first. Alright. We need a ultramethylene blue break here. There's just too many ridiculous things going on today. Trans-identified male swimmer dominates women's events at the U.S. Masters spring competitions. I don't think we can make it through the championships. A trans-identified male quietly dominates his quietly? I mean, wow. That's the loudest swimsuit I've seen in a while. Dominates his age category at a national swimming championship held in Texas over the weekend, prompting concern for women's rights groups. I can't. So here's a Raytheon whistleblower who exposed the neutrino earthquake weapon in Antarctica, gives major updates in response to President Trump's announcement for the U.S. top secret super weapon.
Basically, when I was there, I was like a sponge. I was just absorbing information. I certainly was cognizant that, other things could be going on. Through years of research afterwards and conversations with other former crew members, I became cognizant of these supposed scientific research systems actually being directed energy weapons platforms. And there were technically 3 of them that I identified and testified in June of 2023 in Washington, D.C. in both of those skiffs that you had mentioned earlier. The Senate Intelligence Committee and AARO were informed of the ice cube neutrino detector and its transmit capacity. They were informed of the ELF system being active, not de-energized and dysfunctional. The other platform that I mentioned to them was at arrow, ARO, at the South Pole Station was a substantial green laser that I saw discharging from that facility, sir. And these are the weapons of war that exist, and I want the world to be cognizant of as they're being bamboozled by this ridiculous UFO disclosure circus, which is effectively just here to control the narrative, commandeer the conversation, and steer we the people of the planet away from these monopolized technologies that are we're all suffering under. I've dipped my foot into the minefield of the disclosure community to try to connect with people that are interested in getting the truth out there. But unfortunately, what I've discovered is it seems to just be a massive COINTELPRO operation. So this is why I'm very happy to speak with you today, sir, because you are a diamond in the rough for folks that can look at the big picture and understand how all these things connect, because this has been going on for many years. The lie that they're feeding us is a large portion. So it's very hard for most people to comprehend how messed up things are right now.
The government fears Alex Jones, who has the largest audience in the country, bigger than any of the networks, the biggest megaphone in the country.
The deep state hates Alex Jones with a vengeance.
They sure do. So, yeah. Secret mega weapons. Let's go. Court documents prove incomprehensible abuse and neglect of January 6 prisoner Ryan Samsel. Today, Ryan... See, that's why we needed some sad stories. I mean, this is heartbreaking. Today, Ryan tells his story. This is just an introduction to himself as a first-time writer. Oh, okay. I don't need all this. Sorry, it's from the writer of this article. Yeah. Don't do that. Under the Biden administration, J6 prisoner was tortured, neglected, and denied due process as he languished in 17 different facilities. The world is watching, and we are rating Crix Us posted. So I guess the writer of this was involved with this. He's an MMA fighter from Philadelphia who got old. Again, don't make it about yourself. Link in the description. Bad writer. Bad. Don't make the news about yourself. Like a sentence at most with a link to another article. That's what you need to do. Another last-minute dispute delays signing of Ukrainian minerals deal. I mean, this sneaky little... He can't even wear... This is at the funeral for the Pope. This is as good as it gets. I mean, fuck that Pope, you know. I'm sure he's burning in hell, to be honest, if there is one. But still, he looks like it's a janitor's outfit, is what it is. He looks like Joe Dirt when he was working with Christopher Walken. He's like, "You're talking to my guy all wrong." Zelensky praises Ukrainian intelligence campaign of car bombings and other terrorist attacks that target military officers, but also journalists and civilians. What? Let that sink in. This is not unusual for parties losing a war and a stronger enemy to engage in asymmetrical tactics of fightings. I mean, hell, the U.S. has been doing it. Look at Operation Northwoods. But yeah, he's a tyrannical little piece of shit, and he needs to be arrested. Go get him. He was not wearing underwear. Serial African rapist charged for the rape and sexual assault of young woman in French Park. DNA of the suspect, who was arrested without underwear, was a match, and he confessed to the rapes. Gross. I mean, I don't see what the underwear... I mean, I don't wear underwear. Do you wear underwear? Let me know in the comments. DEI drama. Native American woman wants to challenge David Hogg for position of DNC vice chair after party infighting. David Hogg's tenure as vice chair of the Democratic National Committee may be short-term than expected. He has been in a position for a couple months and has caused all kinds of problems for the party. There's another article. See, that's how you do it. By mostly announcing his plans to primary various members for the party not being far left enough for his liking. But, yeah, I don't know. I say keep running it into the ground because fuck the DNC. David Hogg. He's the guy that couldn't even get his story straight for the Parkland shooting here in Florida, where he one of the things that kicked me off of Facebook for the first time, story time. We were posting just like a 10-hour video loop of just like 2-minute clips where he was like, so there I was in math class and we were under the desk and then we heard the first shots ring out. And then the very next like hour he was interviewed at his house. He's like, so I was homesick from school that day. Then I got a phone call and I jumped on my bike and went as fast as I could to school. Like, go look it up. That's a video. He lied about that shooting. And now he's the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. I mean, it's perfect. They're all a bunch of lying criminals that will lie about murder. They'll kill people. They don't care. They like gay frogs. But, you know, we like straight frogs. Male birth control pills are another example of our culture's enslavement to lust. See, back in my day, we used to, you know, do this thing called pulling out. The article explains why YCT 529, a hormone-free male birth control pill, has shown high effectiveness in animals. Wait. Weird. And is now for human trials, marketing breakthroughs for male contraception. Just another pill. I wonder what else it does. Probably makes your dick fall off. Makes you start voting Democrat. It's a blue pill. Was it a blue pill? I mean, come on. No, we take the red pill. Of course, Democrats who went to El Salvador to protest deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia stayed at luxury resorts, and I'm sure on your taxpayer dollars. Impeach all these people. Probably arrest them for treason. Breaking 4 House Democrats who raced to El Salvador. So yeah, the same thing. Blah, blah. Here's the Hilton San Salvador's terrace where the Democratic Oregon Representative Maxine Dexter appeared to film a video posted to Blue Sky. I almost want to join Blue Sky to see what all these insane people are talking about. And I think it'd be good for the show. What do you think? Should I join Blue Sky? What do you think? Let me know, Mountain Violet. Thanks for hopping in the chat. What do we got here? Oh yeah, this is a clip of old no, not you, old Cheeto Head. It's funny, you know. I didn't think about it, but like he's working for the Cheeto Man, and he has the Cheeto head. But yeah, here's a clip of him and James O'Keefe saying why it's important.
What I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them.
That's remarkable because a couple of whistleblowers and insiders were so inspired by him saying that. They were on the verge, they were on the fence of blowing the whistle, of giving the information, and now they're willing to do it as a result of what Elon said.
Here is James O'Keefe talking about Elon Musk. It's a very short, simple, but powerful clip because...
Good stuff. I like it. Get back to work, George. Time to get out of the Black House. because Colin Rugg posted MSNBC's Chuck Todd has a meltdown over right-wing virtue signaling who are calling out the media for covering up Biden's mental decline, which we knew about this whole time. Wait, hold on. I'm just too small. You're just too small. Let's hear this little meltdown. I love hissy fits.
This is not a media failure. This is a failure of the Democratic Party. And I just sort of the virtue signaling that some people have done to try to say that the media missed this story. They didn't miss this story. David Ignatius wrote, I just refuse to accept this stupid premise because it's a manufactured right-wing premise in order to stain the media. The media's got plenty of things to attack them for. And there are MSNBC and CNN and pundits that absolutely carried water for Joe Biden. But they're not journalists. They're former.
I think he did a Roman salute.
Party. And I just sort of the virtue signaling that some people have done to try to say that the media missed this story. They didn't miss this story. David Ignatius wrote, I just refuse to accept this.
Oh, that is a white supremacist hand sign. I'm screenshotting it. How do you like that, leftists? We're going to start playing your game, and you become a meme on my show whenever you do this shit. So, yeah, here is Chuck Todd doing a white supremacist. You see, because it's the three fingers make the W, and then the O and the arm make the P, and that's white power. See? So
stupid premise because it's a manufactured right-wing premise in order to stain the media.
Okay,
the media's got plenty of things to attack them for, and there are MSNBC and CNN and pundits that absolutely carried water for Joe Biden, but they're not journalists. They're former strategists that carried water for Joe Biden. The journalist, David Ignatius, wrote a very high-profile column in October of 23 saying, is he really running again? This doesn't seem like a good idea. People like me were promoting Dean Phillips' campaign because he was running
Wall Street Journal did a bunch of coverage.
So it's not like this. This isn't WMDs, where the White House worked with the mainstream media to manufacture a story that did not exist. That was a press failure.
Why does they have that huge
massive
Cheney
press failure? This was not that failure. This is an attempt by some to virtue signal, and it's this horrible sort of pitting different news organizations against each other, when ultimately the people at fault are Chuck Schumer, Nancy.
He's insufferable. I can't even get through the clip, and it's pretty short. Every night, be afraid. Tesla owners targeted by left-wing activists in Vienna. Just goes on and on with the Tesla takedown stuff. It's in every language, and you can see you got your three little downward arrows. That's the Antifa symbol. So yeah, this is a global terrorist effort, and it needs to be investigated by Interpol, and they need to be held accountable in the international court. We need tribunals. Renowned author and activist David Horowitz passes away at 86 after a lengthy battle with cancer. Very sad news. Here's one of his most recent posts. Death to America is not a protest slogan. It is a declaration of war. Mahmoud Khalil and his followers are self-declared enemies of America and should be treated as such. Like your style. Rest in power, sir. Just as Alex Jones predicted, Trump's 51st state joke about Canada allowed WEF puppet Mark Carney to pose as a nationalist and win primetime ministership of Canada. And this should be investigated because he's not even a Canadian citizen. He said it in a video last week that he is a European citizen. So did he just change? Is he one now? Is that treason? I think so.
Coming out and attacking Canada and ha ha ha, 51st state, and yeah, all the Canucks have been screwing us, and we'll show them. That is the dumbest political move I think I've ever seen Trump make. That took the leftist globalist party from below 20% support in polls to winning yesterday, because Canadians took it as an attack on their sovereignty. So Trump, I'd give Trump a 95 right now with the stuff he's doing, but he screwed up big time.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country.
So yeah, I thought it was funny when Trump did that, but I mean, you can hear now that like Canadians are pissed, and you can't joke when you're president. He's a jokey guy. He's a funny guy, but they will use all that stuff against you, and
never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. Shame. That will never ever happen. But
yeah, so I mean, they got rid of the puppet Trudeau, who we all hate, of course, for obvious reasons. I mean, just COVID alone, and what he did to those trucker, the protesters about the lockdowns. It goes on and on with Justin Trudeau, but he was just taking orders. This is a boss of the World Economic Forum. This is he's smart. He is vicious, and he's coming in to be a serious threat to the United States. And Trump is kind of to blame. It was such a close election. They could have had a conservative guy. Yeah, he's kind of a rhino by our standards in the United States, but compared to this Mark Carney guy, he's a problem. If you like what we do and you feel that it's important that I continue doing this, you can support me by supporting Alex Jones. You can simply go to thealexjonesstore.com/DarkDox. And when you use that URL, we get 10% of the profit on anything you get right now. And right now, they're having a huge emergency 50% off InfoWars sale, because they're going to battle with the deep state. And right now, you saw it earlier in the episode that they are, they're in these court battles, and the fate of InfoWars is really in your hands. And because they might not be able to use the InfoWars logo if these scumbags win. So don't let them win. And you can get this 9.99 silver InfoWars coin for, they were selling it for $130. You can get it, you typically retail $116, but with the 50% off, it's around $58. These coins are only $8. These t-shirts, $30, so that means they're $14.98 each. You can get any of these t-shirts for under $15. The InfoWars mug, $10. And then I get $1 of that. And every order gets a free InfoWars snake flag, as well as one of these cool InfoWars limited edition gym towels. So they're not fucking around. I spend $100. I got the coin, I got the belt buckle, I got a t-shirt. I got the mug because it comes free with the coffee. So that's another good thing you should be getting from the store. The coffee is in. And but yeah, I got the world broadcast. Yeah, I got this shirt. Yeah, I like that one. So I mean, they got great stuff. They got the classic InfoWars shirt, and much more. What else do they got? Stickers. So those stickers, $7, 50% off. You can get it from $3.50. It's like, these are great prices. Is it back? The InfoWars 1776 tactical dagger? I can get it for, hold on, because this was out of stock and I wanted it. So $80? No, I want to see the discount. I get a gym towel and a flag, and it's $59. Yeah, look at that. $40. I saved $59.99. Look at this. It's fantastic. I'm going to buy this after the show. $40. And then if I spend another $60, it's free shipping. The shipping will be like $8 or something for this. But I get a flag and a gym towel and a tactical dagger for $40. Look at this. I mean, it's insane. They're slashing prices with InfoWars 1776 tactical daggers. So support us at thealexjonesstore.com/DarkDox. That's right. Suspected illegal charge with raping incapacitated woman in Alabama. They always look like this guy. It looks like Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite, right? After a couple burritos. A foreign suspect has been charged in the rape of a woman in Alabama over the weekend, according to reports. The disturbing incident unfolded on Sunday in Opelika city in Lee County. The police department launched an investigation into the alleged attack on arrested 24-year-old Aaron Rolmer Ramos Perez. Ramos Perez is accused of engaging in sexual intercourse with a woman who was incapable of consent due to being physically helpless or mentally incapacitated, specifically while she was asleep, according to court. So he fucked a sleeping retard, is what happened. I think we know what they get. That's right. Here at DarkDox Digest, that's deserving of a wood chipper. You know, we should really call it the meat grinder, because it's not chipping wood, it's grinding meats. Speaking of grinding meats, Aaron Rolmer Ramos has been charged with first-degree rape after he allegedly attacked a physically helpless woman. Being held without bonds. I mean, that should be a death penalty. We need swift justice for these sleeping retards. Despicable. Despicable. Fresno judge bars Border Patrol from some warrantless arrest of suspected undocumented residents.
Developing now, a federal judge in Fresno has barred Border Patrol agents from arresting someone suspected of living in the U.S. illegally unless they have a warrant or a reason to believe the person might flee. The American Civil Liberties Union sued Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and U.S. Border Patrol officials on behalf of the labor union United Farm Workers. 78 people were swept up back in early January before the Border Patrol launched an immigration enforcement action dubbed Operation Return to Sender in the Bakersfield area. That was before President Trump took office. The ruling only applies to people within the court's Eastern District of California, which includes Fresno, Bakersfield, Sacramento, and extends to the Oregon border.
That judge should be tried for treason. And every single victim of every single crime for every single illegal immigrant that was pardoned as part of that. Newsom's California illegal alien police officer charged with raping woman with mental disorder. Why do I have it twice? Trump posts Photoshop image of Kilmar Abrego Garcia knuckle tattoo with disputed MS-13 interpretation. So, first of all, second of all, and third of all, no, no, and no. I just wanted to show you how they spun this on Yahoo News from The Wrap. A digitally altered image of Donald Trump shared of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's knuckle tattoo, which the president presented as evidence in the deported El Salvadorian, is a member of an MS-13 gang, stirred two separate controversies this week from people who thought it was incredibly clumsy Photoshop attempts. You see, they're saying that you're going to see the photo. They're going to get into it in the next bound report too. But I'm going to go ahead and we're going to jump into Photoshop is what we're going to do. We're going to copy this image and we're going to bring Photoshop over. A little behind the scenes, you see, during the show, if I ever do the screenshot thing, I'm not fucking around. I open Photoshop, so he's going on the show now. Welcome. So yeah, let's take a look at this photo in dispute. So here you can see Donald Trump holding this photo that he had printed of Kilmar Abrego Garcia MS-13 tattoo. To be clear, because I feel like I've seen other people cover this today, and no one has said exactly this. So buckle up, sit down, and nobody is saying that the M and the S and the 1 and the 3 are a tattoo. Nobody is saying that. If you're saying that, you're a fucking idiot. This is clearly an image illustrating that he has a marijuana leaf, which is like, they have a whole code system. Look it up. The FBI has it. I don't feel like, I might have it for the next episode, but it's over there. I've seen it before. M is for marijuana. S is for smile. And they're not saying that this is a tattoo either. You can see it says marijuana, smile, cross, and skull. So it's easy. You just look at a weed leaf, you're like, M, marijuana, S, smile. And then that just looks like a 1, so it's a cross. And then 3s look like skulls. So that's why they use skulls for 3s. So this is just simply like an FBI document that he was holding up that was illustrating that this tattoo right here means MS-13. Nobody in the Trump administration is saying that, no, you see, it's not a clumsy attempt of Photoshop, dude. And I don't think that they're that dumb, because nobody's that dumb. They think you're that dumb, and when I say they, I'm talking about the mainstream media that is like spinning. You're going to see this guy that interviews Trump, that he's going to, I mean, it's unbelievable. But I think I'm adding this photo to the cover art because it's just dynamite. This is the hand of the man that Democrats feel should be brought back into the United States because he is such a, quote, fine and innocent person. They said he is not a member of MS-13, even though he's got MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. You see, he should have maybe specified here, to be fair, that he's got the symbols which mean MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles, and 2 highly respected courts found that he was a member of MS-13, beat up his wife, etc. I was elected to take back people of the United States, take bad people out of the United States, among other things. I must be allowed to do my job, make America great again. You just gotta retweet. You just gotta comment. Dems are morons. Reply. I love that I can do that with my presidents. And I'm going to heart it, and I'm going to bookmark it, and I'm going to close it. So, yeah, that's how they're spinning this. And DEA nominee tells Senator Kilmar Abrego Garcia's tattoo consistent with MS-13 membership. So here we go. I'll just cover it in the video, but even New York Post is covering this. Is it over here? Yeah, I'm going to keep that tabbed. You'll see it in the last bound report. What the fuck? Michelle Obama tells Marlon Wayans it warms my heart as a black man to see him raising a trans child. You heard that right. Let's watch.
I wanted to talk, Marlon, a bit about just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man.
One more time.
Black man.
Okay, more context.
Warms my heart, particularly as a Black man.
So what?
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man. Would you care to share that journey of?
Well, I learned.
I wanted to talk.
And Marlon Wayne is just completely unfazed. Wow. Well, I mean, I guess she was right. It's funny, on the Alex Jones show today, he had a guest on who's an expert on all of this. Did a deep dive on Michelle or Michael Obama, and he believes that he had photos of her from a school yearbook where she was in dance class and she was wearing tights doing a kick. And you can see there's no dick between, those legs. Like that's a vag, so. But, Joan Rivers had a different take.
The country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president.
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my! The country will see the first.
Yeah. So the dispute is on, but John Bannon believes we should restore the Smith-Mundt Act. Let's see why.
It's all over the news and new Judicial Watch documents, you name it, about how Google, Facebook, and Twitter were merged with the White House. They had government lavish facilities, 5-star, private jets, everything.
I don't understand how we got so toxic and just so divided and so bitter. And I get why sometimes people just don't want to pay attention to it.
Obama repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which then permitted propaganda to be in broadcasting.
You have been subjected to the most massive, harmonized, globally coordinated propaganda campaign in the history of the Western world, full stop. With this campaign, the governments of many Western nation states have turned military-grade psychological operations strategies, tactics, technologies, and capabilities developed for modern military combat against their own citizens. Welcome to fifth-generation warfare. The battlefield is your mind.
Right here, this is you, okay? And all this surrounding you, these are the liberties we've been given in this amazing experiment we call the United States of America. You've got folks out there whose plan it is to just eat away at your liberties, at your First Amendment.
So with hard power ruled out as the dominant means to have an empire, the U.S. transitioned to a soft power empire, which would be dominated by agencies like the Central Intelligence Agency, democracy promotion programs at the State Department, later USAID, and the whole swarm army we're about to meet. But even right out the gate, the Central Intelligence Agency immediately moved into the media space to control the messaging that people around the world experienced.
It is legal for the agency, the sister agency, the FBI, and the rest of them to put out intentionally misinformation, propaganda to American citizens now.
It's not like the crazy guy that firebombs a Tesla dealership. It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it.
Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh? Cool. Wow. Okay.
Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
Right, we'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well, here we go. Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS, as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because it's fake news.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, in all of her mundane incomprehension of how America works, is announcing a ministry of truth that will decide what is and isn't disinformation.
I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy, because that is a part of what happened here. We're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation.
Let's see, we're getting there. Pretty soon, it's just going to be...
A lot of the big legacy outlets were feasting at the taxpayer trough. We've got the New York Times, Reuters, Politico, you name it, consuming large amounts of tax dollars, a lot of it coming through USAID and other places.
How could these people be lying like this? I mean, you can't be that dumb. The only way it could happen is if somebody's actually paying you to say this stuff.
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
No congressionally appropriated funds should be used to broadcast news and information or other broadcast publications to the U.S. public or audience of a political nature. We don't need taxpayer dollars to ever go to that, and we should reinstate that portion of the Smith-Mundt Act, given what we've now discovered and uncovered about USAID.
It's just going to be you.
This is about what we are willing to accept.
And then all of these liberties, see these liberties here?
But look, if people go to only one source, and the source they go to is sick, and has an agenda, and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence.
Those will be gone.
The 8th coin in the limited edition series is now exclusively available at thealexjonesstore.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 8th in the series. Your past purchases have kept us on the air. There's only 4,000 of this coin. I designed all the others, but the crew said, hey, people keep asking for an Alex Jones coin. This is the first and probably the only one we'll ever do. InfoWars on the back, myself, the American flag on the front with my signature. It is vital to keep us on the air. Plus, it's an amazing coin. All the other in the last
awesome
7 the last year
it's like $40 worth.
You look at them online, they're selling for way more than we printed them up. But I'm not even.
It's good stuff for 50-something bucks. Like give Alex Jones $10. Give me a chicken dinner. One more video to wrap up this episode. Shri Thanedar impeaches Shri Thanender's career. He looks like a frog. Like he looks like some kind of weird frog. But let's see what he has on Donald Trump that he should be impeached. Oh my God.
This is Congressman Shri Thanedar.
So funny.
This
like
is Shri Thanedar, Democrat representative of Michigan's 13th congressional district, which, according to the Cook Partisan Voting Index, is, quote, the most Democratic district in Michigan. Wow. The 13th district is 45% black, 36% white, 10% Hispanic, 4% biracial, 3% Asian, and 1% other. And judging by his photos, every single one of them Shri Thanedar's mom. This is a face that defies belief and offends all logic. You could cast him as Bollywood Tyrion Lannister, Bollywood Marco Rubio, Bollywood Adam Devine, or Bollywood Tiger Woods, and every one of those films would work. Shri Thanedar looks like someone took all those waitresses Tiger Woods fucked, stole the babies, raised them to adulthood, and had them Shri Thanedar's mom, like an Iranian Abercrombie. There are too many genes here. Got a light-skinned rep look like Sammy Sosa. Got a dark-skinned rep look like Sammy Sosa.
Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
You never would have guessed this, But Sri Tandadar wasn't born in the United States. He was born in India not too long after it was gangbanged by the British East India Company, hence the rolling R's of Sean Connery's Bond mixed with the unintentional rapiness of Mike Myers' Love Guru. Sri became a citizen in 1988 at 33 years old, and in shades of Ramaswamy, built his personal fortune through chemical and pharmaceutical companies, sold them, and was sued for, quote, fraudulent and misleading representations of the company's value. One company, Azo Pharma, crashed out so hard that, quote, over 100 dogs and monkeys had to be rescued after being abandoned in a Fauci-style research lab. In 1996, his first wife committed suicide, the only information about which is the implication that his friends in India blamed Sri. 2 years ago, coinciding with his run for Congress, Sri spent $18,000 to produce the short film Dear Pra, which was his wife's nickname for him, and which dramatically retold the final days of his wife's life and the depression he, quote, knew nothing about. Let me say this again. He produced a film about his wife's suicide, cast himself as himself, and titled it Dear Me.
Oh, I need to see this movie.
I'm sorry, you
what
were
is
impeaching?
It called? Hold on.
The court
what?
said the wrongfully...
I didn't know all this.
I'm sorry, you were impeaching?
The court said the wrongfully...
He, quote, knew nothing about. Let me say this again. He produced a film about his wife's suicide. $1,000 to produce the short film
Dear Pra. It's a short. Video? 21 seconds. Hold on. Oh, boo. All right, I'm gonna look for this thing, and we're gonna watch it on the show and laugh at it. Let's continue.
Dear Pra, which was his wife's nickname for him, and which dramatically retold the final days of his wife's life and the depression he, quote, knew nothing about. Let me say this again. He produced a film about his wife's suicide, cast himself as himself, and titled it Dear Me. I'm sorry, you were impeaching?
The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very...
Okay, so the Constitution pertains to United States citizens. You should know that as a government official. We shouldn't be... I'm sorry, like... You need to be a natural-born citizen to be a government official. Like, that needs to be the rule. Like, we can't... Or else you get stuff like... This is the zaniest, most insane timeline in United States history. But, yeah. You don't get due process if you're an illegal immigrant. You immigrants.
Checks and balances that keep our democracy intact.
You ignored 100 dogs and monkeys and left them to die in sand flea hijabs. I'm going to ignore that you forgot to mention that everything you just said is propaganda, because I am utterly enthralled by a monologue that simultaneously sounds like a cliche British woman finding herself in India and the rapist who helped her find her way into the trunk of his airport taxi.
This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern.
But I repeat myself.
That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment. Article 1, obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power. From denying due process to unlawful deportations, Trump defied court orders. Article 2, taking away Congress's power of the purse. Trump dismantled agencies and froze funds without permission from Congress. Article 3,
permission from
abuse
Congress.
of trade powers and international aggression. He imposed damaging...
So none of the things he is even saying are crimes. They're just policy decisions that he doesn't like. Very funny. John Ward put that together. I am a subscriber, and I'm gonna link today's show on his comments so he can complete the loop. Covered on tonight's show post. Link in description. That concludes tonight's episode. I will have a full report on the Alex Jones trial and Dear Pra on Monday. So until then, we're going to go back down to outer space. Very nice. Now it's time to come back down to SeaWorld. And I hope all of you have a great rest of your week and weekend. And until then, always remember to beware, take care, and have a good night.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Christian Hawk.
DarkDox, 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 digest. DarkDox, 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 digest. DarkDox, 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 digest. DarkDox, 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 digest. If you value this program, donate what you can at cash.app/DarkDox. DarkDox, 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 digest. DarkDox, 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 digest.